parameters feed into the design process and ultimately the final deliverable that we've got, and how do we get to these nice, lovely pictures with blue skies over Manchester. Bit of a utopia, but it seems to sell it to the client anyway. Okay, so let's have a look at the design stages. It's a Network Rail project, the client, if you like. Network Rail have what they call grip stages. Don't worry about ins and out of what grip means. But what it sets out is the timeline of civil engineering project. It doesn't have to be civil engineering, but typically it is. So I mean, you can see from the titles of the different grip stages, it's exactly what they mean. You know, it's quite descriptive in that. So we start out with output definition, which is essentially the identification of the problem. We go through feasibility, through option selection, single option development, and all through this stage, we're starting from high-level thinking, and everything's been narrowed down to, say, 2, 3, maybe 4 solutions, until we get to this, where we develop a single solution, and then from here, this is where we're on site, and from here to here is running trains, testing trains. Around about here is where the arguments start between the contractor and Network Rail, which we stay out of and let them argue between themselves and sort the money out. But in terms of Plaza Brinkhoff, where we've been involved, we've come in here, these 2 stages, and we're currently sort of here for the old school core project, which I'm going to focus on. So we've come in at a stage where we've had from another consultant quite high level, some quite outrageous ideas, but they've got to be floated so they can be dismissed. So we've come in and we, had to look at 2 or 3 different options and refine them into one. Okay, so like I said, we've got to identify a problem. So what is the problem in the north? Why do we need this investment in the rail infrastructure in the north? Well, I think this is a clip from Network Rail's website about the Northern Hub project. It's a £500 million project. It's probably the most investment the North seen in rail infrastructure for God knows how many years. We're talking decades. It's all been southeast focused, driven by the Olympics, but slowly money's starting to feed up north. I think we all agree it should, to help improve our rail infrastructure, because if you get the trains in the north at the moment, we're probably, I don't know, 15, 20 years behind the southeast in terms of the technology we're using, the rolling stock we're using. So looking at this map, we've got that fine city there, we've got Newcastle up here, and you can see, if you want to go from west to east, or east to west, everything goes through Manchester, right there. So this is a real bottleneck in travelling from east to west. So the idea of the Northern Hub is to put investment, not just in Manchester, but that's what we're going to focus on today, but all the way through this. It's a £500 million investment, like I said, it's going into all of this. Now, you might say, what's the driver for investing £500 million in this? Do you think it's so I can get a seat when I'm travelling from there to there in the morning? I usually stand at the moment. Service isn't particularly good. Is it so we can get more comfortable trains, so the passenger experience is better? Would you say that's probably a good driver for investing all this money, which is public money, don't forget? Would you agree with that? So we can be more comfortable? In an ideal world, you think, yeah, maybe, but it's not. There's economic drivers to this, there always is. What we do is driven by cash. Everything comes down to the dollar. So they reckon with the £500 million investment, for every pound, and this is again across the whole north, they reckon for every pound invested in this scheme will bring back £4 to the economy in the north. How they work that out, I don't know, but someone more intelligent than me has done that. So those are the drivers behind improving all this infrastructure. And to do that, the whole idea is to get faster, more frequent trains. And what that enables Network Rail to do is to sell train slots to train operating companies. So that's Northern, First Trans-Pennine Express, East Midlands. You might get all these trains. They can open up more slots to sell to train operating companies, which brings in a revenue, which then gets refunded into the network, and it gets better and better and better. That's the idea. Okay, so one of the key constraints for the Northern rail network at the moment, like I said, is in Manchester. It's a real bottleneck at the moment. And one of the problems is that the 3 stations in Manchester, so that's Victoria to north, Piccadilly and Oxford Road, are not connected. There's no connection between them. So, in terms of enhancing capacity, one of the main proposals, and the one which is being developed furthest at the moment, and has actually got funding, is to, you see it there, Ultimate Cord, is to link Piccadilly and Oxford Road with Manchester Victoria. So, even though it's the most advanced part of the Northern Hub scheme, you can see, and this is available on Network Rail's website. This is all visible to anyone. You can see that what I'm going to talk about there today is a tiny, tiny piece of the wider scheme. And as someone said, it does involve, electrification. It involves improving track, some addition of some new track somewhere in Rowby and Highton, and also a lot of station upgrades to Manchester Airport, Piccadilly, Oxford Road and Victoria, which the upgrades to Victoria kind of sit outside the hub a little bit, but I think that's a little bit more politics and that sort of thing. But we have, in addition to Walton Core, John and I both involved with the upgrades to Piccadilly and Oxford Road at the moment as well, which I could talk about for another hour, but I'm probably bored of me by then, so I won't. Okay, so where are we? You probably know Manchester better than me. So I'm not native. We're up here at the University of Salford. They're the existing rail links in Manchester, with rail lines. They're the 3 principal stations, so Piccadilly out here, Oxford Road, Victoria. And that's what we want to do. We want to link Piccadilly and Oxford Road through with Victoria like that. So we can run trains right the way through. So this is a brand new section of railway in a city centre location, which outside of London is pretty much unheard of. You don't get schemes like this. Building new railway is very expensive, especially in the city centre, when we've got all these various constraints that it's all built up. We're going to be treading on someone's toes. It's quite an unusual job to be put in. It's only 1.5 kilometres of track. It's nothing, but still outside of London, it's still quite unusual. Just to show you where we are, that's where our offices are in Manchester. Past the Brinkhoff. So, strange situation. I can actually see the site of Oxford Road from my office window. It's the closest job I've ever had to my office, apart from working on site, obviously. It's not a new problem. It goes back from the birth of